Welcome back, everyone, to episode 19 of Adda Nights with Maximus Muttaki, where we discuss the hot topic of the pandemic. We have a great episode for you today. We'll be discussing the new normal with a panel of distinguished guests, including famous artist and poet Mr. Anando Blake, poet rockstar Mr. Nahid Coleridge, author of Why Capitalism is Killing You, Dr. Monisha Tasnim, head of NGO Shobuz Dunia, Ms. Apshara Adhora, and finally, owner of Big Business Consulting, Ms. Nusrat. And we should be in for a hot talk. Without further ado, let's get started. Today, we will be discussing how we all have been affected by COVID 19 and the new normal. Let's start things off with Mr. Blake. Sir, you are the most senior of our panel. How have you dealt with the pandemic as an artist? How has it affected your profession?
I just finished a new poem called London. You see, I'm stuck here in London right now with some friends. Well, so I'm not that bored. And I'm also actually planning on shutting down my printing press and going to start a digital publication because apparently it is COVID friendly. So that's how I'm doing professionally, just adapting to the new normal. And let me also read a few lines from that new poem. In every cry of every man, in every infant's cry of fear, in every voice, in every band, the mind forged manacles I hear.
A riveting poem only an experienced artist can produce. Speaking of artists, my next question is for Mr. Coleridge. How has the lockdown affected you? Did it hamper your creative process in any way?
You see, in respect to the current situation of the pandemic, I would like to relate it with the poem Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, where the mariner goes on a journey of crime and punishment and he gets redemption gradually. We are in the same situation now. And if you are telling me about the lockdown, it is not hampering me in any way. Rather, it is helping me to get close to nature and my family. And yes, I forgot about that. I am lacking opium.
I see. So the lockdown has allowed you more time with nature and less with drugs.
If I may interject, you see, drugs are a byproduct of capitalism. The hope these people at the top of this trade give to their dealers, and how this has led to so much violence.
Ugh, I'd like to see how any one of you would survive if you didn't have businesses around. The world is basically made by us, and without us, you'd have little innovation, backdated technologies, less product to satisfy the consumers, and less money to survive in this expensive world. Only we make the reasonable and affordable products available for almost all people, and it is you that needs us in every steps in this world.
Okay, we obviously have some strong opinions about capitalism in this forum, but let's hear from Ms. Opshora about how the pandemic has affected nature.
Thank you for having me. So, as we all know, the pandemic is a crisis that affects everyone. My NGO, Shobuz Dekhan, has been tracking the environmental impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it is so bad. COVID-19 is the result of our sins, the corruption caused by society, illegal land grabbing, exploiting of natural resources, and the poor. It is often seen that businesses are harming our ecosystem. Our greed has brought the pandemic to our lives. Just think about the effect of masks and gloves. These products are not biodegradable. It takes forever to decompose. The waste created by masks and gloves is a concerning matter.
Ha, bunch of hippies.
Simmer down, people. Let's take a break. Now is the perfect time to tell you guys about our sponsor, FoodDonkey.com. Feed your munchies anytime, any place with FoodDonkey.com. Have Corona? No worries. FoodDonkey.com will deliver straight to your door, no questions asked. The biggest app for food delivery, FoodDonkey.com. Now back to our discussion. Let's take some questions from the audience. Ms. Zinnia, do you have a question for our panelists?
Yeah. So my question is for Mr. Coleridge. Mr. Coleridge, how are you so awesome? Your song Kubla Khan is one of my fav. I read somewhere you were high on opium when you wrote it. I like that drugs can be source of ideas. I don't I don't encourage taking drugs, but if one can avoid addiction, then it can be useful. I mean, smoke up sometimes. It's practically illegal. Look at the bright side. It is basically medicine. Because of corona, the price of has skyrocketed. So, Mr. Coleridge, where do you stand on the use of stimulants?
For the common people, opium might be a drug or some biochemical property, but for me, it is a literary stimulant that helps me to access the mortal realm beyond the mortal realm. And I don't say that I was high when I wrote Kubla Khan. I just got into an imaginary world where I was Kubla Khan and dreamed of ruling the world.
We have a diehard fan here and some pretty controversial methods for creativity. We have a question from Ms. Rivino.
So, I think it's ridiculous to take drugs or opium for making anything creative or imaginative. Just look at Mr. Blake, who has prophesized everything, all of his arts and poems, songs of innocence and experience are connected with nature and human imagination. All of his works are finely divine. So, I have a question to ask Mr. Blake. What is the message in London when he said, the mind forced manacles idea?
Well, this one day I was walking down the lane and I saw how everyone was wearing their masks and they were fearing the proximity of each other. We have become the lamb facing the deadly jaws of the tiger, that is the COVID. So, yeah, I believe that people have made a presence of their own doing, all in their minds, and that have manifested in the world as well. We are even having this meeting online instead of meeting in real life. And the corporate swines, they take full advantage of it. So we are indeed cuffed by these man-made manacles.
So you're saying we're cogs in the machine of capitalism, sir?
And this new normal is the oil that speeds them up.
I agree. Capitalists won't consider the laborers, how the workers get alienated from the products they make, whereby people fetishize over commodity. Some of us have the privilege to work from home, but many are going to unfamiliar territory to survive. Nature, our ecosystem is being destroyed by the need for conspicuous consumption while producing this divide between the poor and the rest of the world, the need to ascend upwards the scale of mobility and pursue sign exchange as your contribution to being a valuable, or shall I say profitable member of society.
It's easy to blame big businesses, but at the end of the day, you will come back to us when you want food, clothing, and vaccines. You think there would be a vaccine if businesses like mine didn't spend money? No, you people would die. We assure you the technology and comforts you are enjoying right now in exchange of our hard work. Profit is justifiable return. I think the vaccine should be expensive. Do you know how much money it takes to develop them? Science is not a cheap thing. The vaccine should be available only to those who can afford them, like me.
I
Yeah,
disagree.
I agree with her. I agree with her.
Okay. Looks like that's all the time we have for today. We obviously have a lot of different opinions as to how the new normal came to be and what exactly it means to us. With everything, I'm sure we all have food for thought to chew on. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to leave us a like or comment below and subscribe to our channel. If you're hungry, please be sure to check out fooddonkey.com. Use the code COVID sucks to get 15% off your first delivery. Thank you and goodbye.